You want motivation. Then you need to stop waiting for it to arrive like it's some mystical force. Motivation isn't given. It's generated. It's not something you stumble upon. It's something you summon. And if you can learn how to summon it on demand consistently, then you are unstoppable. So let's talk about the 6 keys to creating lasting, powerful motivation in your life. Any day, anytime. The first key is clarity. Motivation needs a target. You can't hit a blurry goal. If you wake up each day and you don't know what you're aiming for, you'll drift. You'll get distracted. You'll end the day feeling frustrated and unfocused. But the moment you define exactly what you want and why your mind kicks in, your energy rises. Your heart gets involved. Clarity is power. You must ask, who do I want to be? What do I want to feel? What do I want to contribute? And every morning, revisit those answers. That clarity will light a fire. The second key is energy. You cannot be motivated if you're exhausted all the time. People think motivation is a mental game. It's also a physical one. Your brain and body are connected. If your health is off, your drive is down. So if you want to stay motivated, you need to move, breathe, hydrate, fuel your body with real food, and protect your sleep. Energy is a requirement, not a luxury. It's the fuel for your fire. Without energy, there is no consistent motivation. Raise your energy and you raise your life. Third, we need necessity. This is where the game changes. Motivation explodes when there's a must, when something has to get done, when your back is against the wall, when your identity demands it. If you make your goals optional, you will delay. You'll get distracted. But if you tie your goals to your values, to your family, to your future, if you say, this must happen because it's who I am. Now, necessity breathes urgency, and urgency breeds action. The fourth key is productivity. Motivation without progress turns into frustration. You have to see and feel momentum. It's not about being busy. It's about being effective. Each day, you should be able to say, today, I moved forward. That means working on what matters most, not getting caught up in other people's priorities. Focus is everything. When you feel productive, you feel proud, and that pride fuels you to keep going. Fifth is influence. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Motivation is contagious. If you're always around complainers, guess what? You'll lose your spark. But if you surround yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, who live with purpose, you rise. You grow. You start to believe again. You need mentors, role models, and people in your life who lift the standard, who remind you of what's possible, who call you to something higher. Influence matters more than we think. And finally, the sixth key is celebration. We think we need to wait until we hit the big goal to celebrate. No, you need to wire your brain for progress by celebrating small wins. When you recognize your effort, when you honor your growth, your brain says, let's do that again. Celebration is not vanity. It's strategy. It reinforces the behavior you want to keep. So every step forward, every small victory, celebrate it. Clap for yourself. That's how motivation becomes sustainable. Clarity is the foundation of all motivation. Without clarity, the mind wanders, the heart hesitates, and progress stalls. People often say they feel unmotivated, but the truth is they're simply unclear. They don't know what they want, where they're going, or why it matters. When your vision is foggy, your drive fizzles out. Clarity gives direction. It gives purpose. It tells your brain, this is what matters right now. Motivation needs that signal. When you wake up in the morning without a sense of who you are and what you're after, you begin the day already lost. But when you start your day with a crystal clear intention, your entire system activates. Your focus sharpens. Your energy rises. Your decisions become easier. You no longer chase every distraction because you know what you're really after. Clarity isn't just about long-term vision. It's also about the now. It's about asking yourself daily, what do I want to experience today? Who do I want to be today? What must get done to feel like I moved forward? These questions are powerful because they bring you into alignment with what really matters. They cut through the noise. And when you get into the habit of answering them, you build a rhythm of purpose, drive, and living. Clarity isn't something you gain once and then forget. It's a daily practice. You revisit your vision, you refine your path, and you remind yourself why you started. Without clarity, people fall into reaction. They respond to emails all day, answer every phone call, do what others expect of them. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they feel drained and disconnected. They weren't working from clarity. They were operating on autopilot. But when you're clear, you stop reacting and start creating. You initiate, you lead, you feel that sense of control and momentum that builds motivation. Clarity gives you permission to say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. It helps you prioritize your time, energy, and attention. When you know what you want, it's easier to make decisions that support your growth. Clarity also builds confidence. People feel unsure when they don't know what the next step is. But when you're clear on your goals and your values, that confidence grows. You stop doubting yourself because you have a compass guiding you. Even when things get tough, even when motivation dips, your clarity pulls you forward. You don't give up easily because you're emotionally connected to a meaningful outcome. That emotional connection is everything. It's not enough to know what you want. You have to know why you want it. That why is the fuel. That's what keeps you going on hard days. That's what gives meaning to the struggle. That's what turns effort into purpose and makes the journey worth it. Clarity isn't just a mental exercise. It's the ignition switch for your entire life. Energy is the invisible force behind motivation. You can have the best goals, the clearest vision, the strongest desire. But if your energy is low, your ability to follow through collapses. Most people don't realize how much their physical state affects their mental drive. They wake up tired, fuel themselves with sugar and caffeine, skip movement, and wonder why they feel stuck. But motivation doesn't thrive in exhaustion. It thrives in vitality. When your body is energized, your mind is sharper, your emotions are more stable, and your willingness to engage increases. You stop procrastinating not because your willpower is stronger, but because your system is alive and ready to act. Motivation isn't just a mindset. It's a state of readiness, and that readiness is rooted in energy. You have to treat energy like a discipline. It's not random. It's not luck. You create it just like an athlete trains to stay in peak condition. You must train your energy habits daily. That means you move your body every single day, not just to stay fit, but to stay awake, to stay alive inside. It means you stay hydrated because water fuels the brain and every organ that drives performance. It means you eat real food, clean, whole, nourishing fuel that doesn't leave you feeling bloated or sluggish. It means you protect your sleep like your future depends on it, because it does. Sleep is not a luxury for the lazy. It is a requirement for the ambitious. When your energy is optimized, your thoughts are clearer, your creativity flows, and your ability to persevere strengthens. Energy is not just physical. It's emotional. When you carry stress, resentment, anger, or anxiety, it drains you. Every negative emotion you hold on to is a leak in your tank. So you must learn to release, to let go, to breathe through tension and manage your emotions with presence. This is why practices like meditation, journaling, and deep breathing are so powerful. They don't just calm you down. They restore your power. They help you return to your center, where motivation can rise again. Emotional mastery is energy mastery. And if you want to stay motivated over the long haul, you must care for your emotional world as much as your physical one. Energy is also affected by your environment. The people you spend time with either lift your energy or drain it. The space you work in can inspire you or tire you. The habits you live by can either build you or break you. If you want more motivation, audit your environment. Ask yourself, what adds to my energy? What steals it? What needs to change so that I wake up more alive and go to bed more fulfilled? Energy is everything. It's the life force that powers your goals, your focus, your execution. When you feel good in your body, when your spirit is light and strong, when your system is firing on all cylinders, you naturally want to move forward. You don't have to force motivation. It flows through you. That's the power of energy. Necessity is the internal pressure that drives consistent action. It's what turns a casual desire into a life-changing commitment. When something becomes a must instead of a maybe, your entire system responds differently. You no longer hope it gets done. You make sure it gets done. That's the difference necessity makes. It's the shift from I'd like to succeed to I have to succeed. And that shift changes your behavior. It activates your courage, your resilience, and your discipline. When something matters deeply, you show up even when it's hard. You push through resistance because not doing so would violate who you believe you are. That internal pressure is not stress. It's purpose. It's responsibility. It's a deep connection to your identity and values. Necessity is what fuels athletes in the final seconds of a game. It's what pushes entrepreneurs to keep building when the odds are against them. It's what gets parents out of bed in the middle of the night to care for a sick child. There's something bigger than comfort pulling them forward. They feel a sense of duty, a personal standard they won't drop. That kind of motivation is stronger than fleeting emotion. It's rooted in identity. When you say, this is who I am, and I don't break promises to myself. Elevate your standard. You're no longer motivated by hype. You're moved by honor. That's the essence of necessity. To build necessity, you have to tie your goals to something meaningful. It's not enough to want success. You have to attach that success to something personal. Ask yourself, who would I be letting down if I didn't follow through? What does achieving this goal say about who I am? What's at stake if I don't take action? Those questions create emotional leverage. They remind you that your goals aren't just about comfort or lifestyle. They're about integrity. You have to see your ambitions as extensions of your values. That's when motivation transforms from optional to essential. Necessity also grows when you raise your expectations. Most people settle for average because they've never decided that excellence is a requirement. When you make excellence your identity, your behavior follows. You stop tolerating mediocrity in your routines, in your conversations, in your output. You operate on a different level because your standard demands it. The moment you link your performance to your personal pride, your motivation soars. You don't need someone cheering you on. You're driven from within. You can't fake that. You can't substitute it with hacks or quick fixes. That kind of fire only comes from necessity. Necessity thrives in moments of reflection. When you take time to connect with your why, to remember what matters and who you're doing it for, you will ignite your drive. It's easy to get distracted and disconnected from purpose, but necessity is always there, waiting for you to return to it. It lives in the part of you that refuses to settle. That inner voice that says, this matters. This is who I am. This is what I must do. And when you let that voice lead, motivation is no longer a mystery. It becomes a mandate. Productivity is where motivation meets movement. It's not enough to feel inspired. You need to channel that inspiration into focused, effective action. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. You can spend all day being busy and still feel empty at the end of it. That's because true motivation thrives not in motion, but in meaningful progress. When you see yourself moving forward, checking off goals, completing real tasks, finishing what you started, you generate a sense of momentum. That momentum feeds your confidence, sharpens your focus, and builds a rhythm of success that pulls you through even on days when motivation feels low. People often say they're overwhelmed or stuck, But the problem isn't always a lack of motivation. It's often a lack of direction. Productivity gives you that direction. It breaks the big dream into actionable steps and brings clarity to chaos. You must begin by deciding what truly matters each day. That means defining your high-value activities, the tasks that move the needle, the actions that create results, the efforts that bring you closer to your goals. These are not the easy things. They're not always the most urgent things, but they're the most important. When you begin your day with intention, prioritizing what matters before reacting to everything that doesn't, you take control of your time. You shift from reactive to proactive. You stop being pulled by distraction and start being propelled by purpose. That's when motivation starts to feel natural because your actions are aligned with your ambitions. Discipline plays a crucial role in productivity. You can't always count on feeling excited or energized, but you can count on structure. When you build systems, routines, and habits that support your goals, you don't have to rely on emotion. You follow through because you've made execution automatic. That's what high performers do. They remove the decision fatigue. They eliminate the guesswork. They don't waste time asking whether they feel like doing the work. They do the work because that's what successful people do. That consistent productivity is what builds trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself to follow through, you don't wait for motivation to strike. You generate it through your actions. Productivity also demands presence. You have to train your mind to be here now, to focus fully on the task in front of you. Multitasking, constant interruptions, and digital distractions don't just reduce your effectiveness. They drain your motivation. Because when you stretch your focus thin, your energy drops. Your work quality suffers. And then you feel discouraged. But when you're locked in, fully engaged, fully present, you get more done in less time and feel more fulfilled doing it. That feeling of deep work, of real progress, is one of the most motivating experiences a person can have. It reminds you of what you're capable of. It reinforces your identity as someone who takes action. And when you end your day knowing that your effort mattered, that you made real moves toward your vision, that sense of accomplishment becomes the spark that fuels tomorrow's drive. Influence is one of the most underestimated keys to motivation. People often think motivation is just about willpower, but they forget how deeply we are shaped by the environment we live in and the people we interact with every single day. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, doubt, or small-minded thinking, it's nearly impossible to keep your ambition alive. Your environment is always speaking to you, and it's either lifting you up or pulling you down. Influence is not passive. It's powerful. It can either fan the flames of your dreams or slowly extinguish them without you even noticing. That's why being intentional about who and what you allow into your world is non-negotiable. If you want to stay motivated, you have to protect your mental space with the same intensity you protect your physical body. The people in your life either reinforce your drive or they drain it. If you're constantly around individuals who complain, who make excuses, who settle for less, you will start to mirror that mindset. Not because you want to, but because that's the natural pull of social energy. But when you surround yourself with people who are striving, growing, pushing themselves, and living with intention, something powerful happens. You rise. You begin to adopt their energy, their habits, their language. You start to believe more is possible because you're witnessing it up close. That kind of influence is priceless. It rewires your standard. It elevates your belief system. It reminds you that greatness is not just a concept, it's a choice. Influence also comes from what you consume. The books you read, the videos you watch, the podcasts you listen to, and the conversations you engage in. These are all shaping your internal world. Motivation needs fuel, and that fuel often comes from external voices that challenge you, inspire you, and push you to think bigger. failure. If all you consume is junk, negativity, gossip, fear, distractions, you're starving your mind of the nutrients it needs to stay focused and driven. But when you feed your mind intentionally with learning, growth, inspiration, and strategies, you're building a fortress of strength inside you. Every piece of positive influence adds a brick to that foundation. Sometimes the most powerful form of influence is simply being around people who hold you accountable. People who see your potential and won't let you play small. People who call you out when you slack and call you up to your highest self. That kind of honest influence may not always feel comfortable, but it's necessary. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the tension between you are and where you know you can be. And the right people help you bridge that gap. To stay motivated, you must curate your circle and cultivate your environment. You must actively choose what voices you allow into your head and what energies you allow around your goals. Because motivation isn't something you maintain alone. It's something you build, protect, and strengthen through the influence you welcome into your life. Celebration is the secret ingredient to sustaining motivation, yet it's the one most people neglect. We live in a world that's always pushing us to do more, achieve more, and chase the next milestone. But in that relentless forward motion, we forget to pause and acknowledge what we've already done. When you don't stop to celebrate your wins, big or small, you starve your soul of the recognition it needs to stay inspired. Progress without acknowledgement becomes a grind, not a gift. And when everything feels like a grind, motivation eventually fades. Celebration isn't just about throwing a party or giving yourself a reward. It's about wiring your brain to associate effort with meaning and progress with fulfillment. It's a psychological shift that tells your subconscious, this matters. Keep going. The power of celebration lies in how it reinforces identity. When you complete something and take a moment to acknowledge it, you're not just checking off a task. You're affirming a truth about yourself. You're telling your mind, I am the kind of person who follows through. I finish what I start. I grow. I improve. That kind of reinforcement builds confidence, and confidence feeds motivation. When you feel proud of what you've done, you want to keep doing more of it. You no longer chase results out of insecurity. You pursue growth out of alignment with who you know you are becoming. That's a deeper form of motivation, one rooted not in lack but in legacy. Many people only celebrate the end, the goal, the big finish, the public achievement, the final number, but lasting motivation comes from celebrating the process. Every early morning you didn't hit snooze, every workout you didn't skip, every moment you resisted distraction, every hard conversation you finally had, those are victories. They matter. They deserve recognition. When you learn to celebrate effort as much as outcome, you stop relying on external validation to feel good about yourself. You take ownership of your journey. And when your motivation comes from within, it's no longer fragile. It becomes fierce. Celebration also recharges you emotionally. Motivation isn't just logical. It's emotional. It's tied to your heart, to how you feel about what you're doing and why it matters. If you constantly push yourself without any joy, you burn out. But when you allow moments of appreciation, of gratitude, of joy for how far you've come, you refill your emotional tank. You create a positive emotional loop where effort leads to joy and joy leads to more effort. That cycle is what high performers understand. They don't just work hard. They find meaning in their work. They reflect, they appreciate, and they celebrate consistently. Even simple celebrations matter. A moment of silence to acknowledge your growth. A journal entry about what you accomplished. A conversation with someone who supports you. A smile in the mirror. These small moments stack. They build a history of personal progress, and that history becomes your evidence. So on days when motivation feels low, you can look back and see how far you've come. You can remind yourself that every step you took mattered, and that reminder becomes the reason to take the next step.